everybody. Thanks for tuning in to the Kerrit podcast. Unfortunately, Kevin's work schedule got all messed up and hullabalooed, so we're not going to be able to get together, quote-unquote get together, for this week's episode, but I instead decided to re-release a previous episode from our first season, first year of doing this. It is a ghost, a Ouija scary story kind of thing, so it's one of the most listened to episodes, so it's one of the early ones, one of the favorites, and hopefully you enjoy it, and we'll be back to your regular scheduled programming when we can. Okay, goodbye everybody, happy quarantine.
Kerrit podcast. Good song.
Yeah, this sounds like something carrots could grow to.
Crunch into us.
What's up, Doc? What are we doing?
I don't know.
Fucked up.
Crunch.
Welcome to the Kerrit podcast, everyone. This is episode 4. Doing haunted houses.
Yes, we
hauntings.
are. Ghosts.
Really quick, we wanted to close caps on some things we've talked about in the past on the episodes. One thing I want to talk about is Life of Pablo, the Kanye West album.
We did allude to that a little bit.
We talked about it for a little bit in the Oscars episode, and we're tying up loose ends in the Oscar episode specifically, and then we will put you guys into a recording that we did last week, I believe.
Yes.
So, really quickly, I have listened to The Life of Pablo, and it is great.
Oh, it's that good, isn't it?
It's really good. It's really good.
It's so good, dude. I love Chance the Rapper in that. His whole verse.
I haven't
Ultra
listened
Light
to the whole
Beam.
thing.
Have you listened to
yeah,
Ultra Light
dude,
Beam?
it's so good. I think I know exactly who you're talking about, and it's really good.
He gets to this point where he says, oh my God. He says, I laugh at my head because my ex looking back like a pillar of salt. And like the whole thing, there's way better rhymes that surround it that amplify how great that line is. But, like, the whole point is, like, this religious experience that you're having. I mean, the entire album is kind of like that. Like, it's based on gospel.
Religious.
And to hear, like, that line, like, that's referencing the Bible. That's mean, but it's also, like, referencing something that people all feel like, you know? Like, I bet that bitch is looking back like, fuck her, I'm fucking doing this now.
Did you see his next album is tentatively called TurboGrafx 16?
Is that for Chance the Rapper?
No, Kanye.
I've never heard
summer
of
of 2016.
That. What?
He already announced it on
When
Twitter.
did this happen?
Recently. Like a couple weeks after he dropped The Life of Pablo. He did release it exclusively on Tidal, and I know that's not how either of us got it. That is all I'll say. But
We got it from the library.
The library. Yeah, that's where we got it. It bums me out, though, that it wasn't released in stores or online, because I want albums. I want to buy the album. I want to get the album. I want to support an artist if I can. By at least going to the library. Or there's Freegal, which Freegal is a thing that you can download 5 songs a week for free through your library card. So that is how I've been getting a lot of my music lately.
That's amazing,
because
actually.
The library pays the artist to get the material, and then you can download it for free. So it's your tax dollars are basically going to this. Am I correct?
Yeah, I mean,
yeah. It's library shit. So
that's how they purchase them. So
my thing, like, I was on stage the other night, and someone was, like, one of the comics, the MC was mentioning Kanye West's album, and he said, yeah, that came out, and I was loving it. And then some guy in the crowd to his left goes, that hasn't come out yet. And then the comic's like, yeah, it did. It came out on Tidal. No, it hasn't. And he's like, I got to introduce the next comic. So, and then I get up and I'm like, yeah, it's been released on Tidal. And he's like, what? Yeah, Tidal, Tidal, Tidal. It's Jay-Z's exclusive. So I'd say everything. And he's like, well, I'm not going to get it. Fuck that. And I was like, I mean, I guess it's the same thing that I have, but it's like us 3 now, including that guy, are all just like, I don't want to do that. So it does go back to your point that you made about it being an idea that he has to release it exclusively that way. And it's been downloaded 500,000 times, and he lost, what, $10 million?
I mean, he must
just
have
read?
lost a ton
he
of
lost
money.
A ton of money on it, and it is a dumb idea, granted, but he still should get the support that he wanted to get. But the thing is, I mean, if it was exclusively through his website and just him instead of like a subscription fee,
Yeah.
that's a dumb thing that they're doing because it's like 3 albums that they've released through Tidal.
Yep. And
I mean, come on.
What if he did it the Louis C.K. style, where he's just like,
exactly,
here's my own website,
that's
here's
what I'm talking
$5
about.
for it, and see you later.
Dude, Louis made a fucking killing off that. And anything he puts up on that website, like it's, here's an episode of a show that I made for $2. Here's an episode of it for $5. And that's all to cover costs.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't get profit from it unless everyone gets it, he's just covering costs. So if Kanye was smart that way, then he would have been able to cover costs for this fucking great album.
Absolutely. And
it's really good.
He's still screwing himself over because he hasn't even announced a physical copy release date, and he needs to do that because like that's where the money is. I mean,
and it's a bummer, but I mean, we talk about art a lot on this, and it makes me always wonder, like, I'm really getting into David Bowie, and I mean, he's dead, but it's like it's a great body of work. People, like, there was a bunch of tweets when Kanye worked with Paul McCartney. They're like, Kanye, I don't know who this Paul McCartney guy is, but Kanye's gonna make him big, and it's like, you're a fucking moron.
I can't believe those were real. I actually heard a couple of them were real people. I mean, how do you not know who that is?
Because, I mean, people know Lennon's name, I guess, because it's like he's dead. Like,
do they now? Honestly, I
think
I always
people
equated Lennon and McCartney, and now I don't know if people don't know who McCartney is. Maybe people don't know who Lennon is.
Oh, it's sad.
Yeah, I know.
I ran out of steam on that, but it's the same thing as like it's weird because those albums and those artists weren't even trying to be innovative like Kanye. And like their music is just sitting on library shelves, and it's lost on this generation because it's not in their Rolodex. They make no effort to search for it.
It's
or whatever.
really funny that you say that they weren't trying to be innovative, because I think like people
in their music were,
I
but
understand.
not in release way.
No, I don't think they. I think even in their music, I think if like someone like Elvis Costello, and within my more of my understanding, like Bob Dylan come around, they're not trying to upset the status quo. They're just like, you know what? I'm just gonna present this the way that I create it. Mm-hmm. And it's weird to listen to Kanye because I think originally that's how he was, like with College Dropout, Late Registration. He came along and was like, I'm going to do this my way. Like, I'm a very soulful guy. I'm going to have some soul samples, things like that. Mm-hmm. But now that he's become so self-aware and he's so successful, he has to keep pushing himself, and he knows he needs to be known as the innovative guy. So that's why he's coming off so crazy and weird, and he doesn't quite have a set release schedule for things.
Basically it's just because it's the year 2016 and that's just demanded.
Like, the exposure is compounded against him, and he knows he needs to go for it.
Dude, I gotta be innovative with these jokes. I might say all my jokes just backwards. Like,
see what happens.
Like literally the last word of the punchline starts it, and then the first word of the setup ends it.
And then what you should do is reverse the video on YouTube so that it's all in order, but there's still no laughter because everyone's so confused. That'd be avant-garde. That'd be some crazy shit.
If that could be done, that would be...
You'd have to literally memorize every single word.
Everything backwards, yeah.
It'd be like impossible. I mean, it wouldn't be impossible, but you'd have to actually write it out.
50
and I know you're not
minus
huge.
6,000.
Yeah.
What? Really quick, I want to cover the Oscars. So the Oscars aired.
They did air.
Were you surprised by any of the results?
There are two things I'd like to bring up real quick. One, elephant in the room, Sam Smith winning for Writings on the Wall. We had just talked about how crappy it was.
And I put it in, and I'm right.
You did put it in.
I put it in.
And it was crappy still.
It's terrible.
It was still horrible.
Right now, I'm going to put in Radiohead's version of Spectre.
Yeah. Way better. We can talk, and we're talking about like would that have been nominated even? That's my question.
No,
Like,
of course not.
I don't think it would have been.
Because
either.
it's Radiohead. I mean,
It's different.
They have a cult following, but they are definitely not as popular as Sam Smith is. And God damn it, Radiohead is so good.
It's weird because I think that's an instance of popularity trumping talent in the
course
Oscars.
it is. Of course it is.
That this year's Oscar was actually very good in honoring more talent than
I would agree with
than
that.
anything else. I mean,
I would agree.
But that best song category was straight up. Oh, it's Sam Smith. We'll give it to him. It
Like,
was really weird.
They could have given it to The Weeknd.
They could even to Lady Gaga, who is way better. I finally heard that song.
Goddamn, Sam Smith's Writing's on the Wall. It's so bad.
I cannot believe that one. I went to bed and I missed like the last few awards.
I texted you
including that
right
one.
when it was announced.
I remember that morning. So I got a promotion at the bowling alley, and because of that, I'm kind of on call. So I got a phone call at like 5 a.m. On that Monday. Asking a question work-related, and I couldn't sleep because I had been woken up, and I was just kind of like, whatever, the Oscars
Peruse
were
the
last night.
internet.
Oh, yeah, I'll see who won the last few major awards, because I missed, Best Actor, Actress, Picture, all these good ones. And I'm reading them, I'm like, oh, cool, DiCaprio, great, Brie Larson won for
Finally,
Room,
yep.
very cool, whatever, oh, great.
Spotlight won for Best
Yep.
Picture, which
And then
is deserved.
I was like, oh, Ennio Morricone finally got an Oscar for Best Original Score for The Hateful Eight, fantastic. Sam Smith won for Writings on the Wall, like, that should have even been nominated, that was a horrible piece of garbage.
I can't believe, what do you think, why did it win?
I would have to assume it's the popularity vote mixed with the fact that it's a James Bond song, so maybe they have the history of James Bond behind it.
How many Bond songs have won?
So there's 2 so far, obviously. Skyfall.
It's only Skyfall and...
No, I'm pretty sure... Oh, man, I feel like one more. I think
Was
only
it
one
Nobody
more.
Does It Better?
I don't think so.
Carly
I know that
Simon?
was nominated, but I don't believe that won, even though I think that was easily my favorite Bond
GoldenEye?
song. No, it was, man, I want to say, like...
You got a license to kill... Gladys Knight?
I couldn't tell you. I think that'd be a good thing to look up, but I'm not going to do it right
Duran
now. No.
I can go through all of them right now.
No, I don't remember what it would be.
From Russia with love.
Oh,
Matt
man.
Monroe?
I really... I'll look it up real quick. Can we just have dead air for a sec? We can cut this all out. Let me just double check here.
Goldfinger!
I feel like it was one of the older ones like
He's
that.
the man. Man with the Midas touch.
God damn it.
Midas touch.
It doesn't... Do we have to? It doesn't
No.
matter. I'm sorry.
I just
it doesn't
wanted
matter.
to sing the Bond songs.
Okay, well, can we go to one more thing that I was concerned about for the Oscars real
for
quick?
Sure.
The other thing I could not believe, and this isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I could not believe that visual effects went to Ex Machina. Because it was up
Yeah,
against...
I didn't see it.
I did see it. It's a great movie. The effects, you wouldn't think them to win because they're not flashy. They're very subtle. But that made me think, oh, maybe it did deserve because of that. Even though in my heart of hearts I wanted it to be Mad Max.
But it was up against Mad Max.
It's not. I think that this one is much more arguable than original song, which was horrible. Ex Machina, again, you're watching it.
It's like a surprise.
Yeah, it's like the effects aren't the primary focus of that movie. It's just kind of like she's a robot in the movie.
So it's like her face and then robot,
and it's well done. And it's good because it's more of a thing in the background, whereas something like Mad Max is at the forefront.
Do you think they did that because Mad Max got so many other awards?
I don't think so. I think that it was one of those surprises. I don't think it was like they got together and were like, let's give it to something smaller. I think that it just randomly...
Because, all the Lord of the Rings movies won,
3 years in a row.
23 in all.
They literally won all the best visual effects Oscars for 3
so-
years. In fact, if you look at all the Oscars of the last decade or so, or probably more,
They hold most of them.
it's not even just that. It's every single movie that won best visual effects is like this big budget, crazy movie. And
I think
so for it to go to something smaller like Ex Machina, which had no budget. Not no budget, but much smaller than something like 150 million, like the Star Wars or Mad Max.
We've both had a week.
Oh, yeah.
How was your week?
I had an amazing week.
You did.
Are
you tired?
Well, I got a promotion at the bowling alley, and I went from scrubbing the pins to
telling someone else to scrub the pins.
Right.
Perfect.
Do people scrub pins?
Probably not.
Why would they scrub pins? That seems like a very useless waste of manpower. So anyway, that happened. And then last night, honestly, I'm not going to lie to you, I was so, it wasn't, I guess you could call it excitement, for lack of a better word, but, I woke up at 3 in the morning, and I couldn't sleep. And I mean, like, not even in a, ooh, it's Christmas Day type sleep or type feeling, but like a feeling where I was just I knew that I would not be sleeping for the next like 2 hours. And I did not sleep for 2 hours.
I don't think I've had that.
It was the first time that's ever happened to me. And it happens to like my mom all the time.
Why?
I have no idea. Genetics, I guess?
Is your house haunted?
Oh, I would not be surprised. Actually, I really would be surprised because I don't believe in ghosts. That's a good topic. Ghosts.
I would say so. I feel like we might have a part 2 and a part 3 to this because it's a very, very fun phenomena.
It is. But here's the thing. We could also have like a 10-second long episode about ghosts. And
we'd cover it.
This is what we would say. Ready? They're fake. And that's it.
Well, why do you think they're fake?
Well, because they're not real. But beyond that, I don't trust anybody. Yeah. I mean, I don't trust any. Have you tried trusting somebody? It's horrible.
It's pretty hard.
Because that person is just a person, and people are dumb. I mean, I'm not saying everyone's dumb, but to trust what anyone has to tell you is horribly misinformed. It's very interesting to create a parallel between that and critics' reviews. Not to bring everything back to movies. We're talking about movies again.
We're so tired.
I mean, you know.
Well, back to ghosts.
Back to ghosts and how they're not real.
I want to make you agitated by the end of this.
I want to go to a haunted house and spend the night there, so that I can.
No. But do you want to go to like a haunted house that like they charge ticket prices to? Because those are bullshit. Or do you want to go to a haunted house that like it's said to be haunted and you can stay here, or like sneak into one?
Okay, sneaking in I feel like is out, because I think a lot of the feeling in my stomach, like the sort of quote unquote fear that I'd be feeling, is partially me being nervous about breaking in.
I agree with that.
Especially at a place like that, which is eerie. I mean, I'll grant you eerie. Mm-hmm. Anything is eerie that's old. I mean, you go to an old insane asylum, it's absolutely eerie.
Yeah.
So, but to pay to go into a haunted house, that completely like voids the experience. Like the whole point isn't to pay, it's to go and like just feel it. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not trying to pay to see a movie, I'm paying to like have an experience. If I'm paying, that means that people go there, which means it's like a tourist trap at that point. It's all nonsense.
Exactly. There's also like haunted hotels that you can stay in. Like, you can stay in a certain room or whatever that there's activity that's said to be happening in.
Well, like you turn on pay-per-view and put porno on or something, and that's the activity?
No, no. That's not what I'm talking about.
No, not at all.
You have a story though.
I do.
But it's like the way, I mean, you can tell.
I'll tell it.
Yeah, tell it.
I might as well tell you guys this story. And you make of it what you will. Let's keep in mind that I was 5 when this happened. Mm-hmm. And I was in my living room. My mom was there. I think she was like folding clothes. I was with a friend. I think we were playing with Legos. All of this is up for debate, I'd like to add. And I probably should ask my mom for... I mean, maybe I'll ask my mom. We'll put some audio in right here. Okay, fuck it. So...
I'll put it in. I don't give a fuck.
I know. So, anyway, we're in the living room, the 3 of us. Let's just picture us in a triangular shape. So a triangle. And we're in the living room, doing our own thing.
That's very demonic of you.
It's almost...
If only you guys were sitting in a pentagram.
I know, almost pentagonal for sure. Not quite, though. Missing several...
Isn't that pentagonal? Is it pentagonal?
I don't know why it would be pentagonal. It'd be like rectangular. You don't have to call it rectangular or rectangle.
I don't know, but have you ever heard of these rhombuses? We are so slap happy.
Oh, man.
All right.
Not in a masturbatory way.
No, masturbatory.
Jesus Christ. So... we're in the living room. Jesus Christ. This is so fucking hard to get through right now. Like, this story is stupid, though. I mean,
fun. It's a little ghost story.
It's a cool little ghost story, but who knows if it actually happened? I was 5, you know? I mean, as an adult, am I making this up?
You have to finish the story for the audience.
I apologize. So, remember, we're in a triangle. We're hanging out in the living room. I'm 5 years old. All of a sudden, I feel something like rap against the back of my head, like knuckles.
Was
I
it
mean, like
Eminem?
it kind of felt like if Eminem were fighting somebody.
No, rap.
I mean, no, I got you.
Oh, you got it? It
I'm
was
trying
just
to power
stupid.
through
I'm
this.
sorry.
Okay, I'm trying to just steamroll right through this.
Kevin is
garbage.
PowerPointing right through this.
Yes, exactly. We can't do PowerPoint.
So you felt a
audio.
rapping on the top.
So it felt like someone took their knuckles and like tapped me with them on the back of the head. And my mom, the way my mom tells it, I visibly fell forward and looked to the left and right, looked all around, trying to figure out what this was. And she's like, "What was that?" And I was like, "I don't know. I thought, what was it? One of you? There's accusations flying around."
Now, was there anyone sitting behind you?
No, there really wasn't. I mean,
no one was
as
sitting
far as I
behind
remember. I'll tell you this part of the story. I never told you this part.
You son of a bitch.
This
you
seems-
held out on me.
This seems superfluous. I am good at holding out on things, I should add.
Okay.
But my mom is friends with some neighbors that live down the road, and we would always go camping as kids. Like, our families would get together and go to a campsite, whatever. That's what camping is, obviously. My mom's friend's youngest kid, we'll call him Jim, and I would always hang out. We were of a similar age range. So while my sisters were hanging out with his older sisters, we would just be doing whatever little kids do. I don't know, measuring dicks or something. And so one day I told him, one day I told him about this ghost, and he goes, "Oh man, that's Knuckle." I'm like, "What?" And he's like, that's Knuckle. That's a ghost, man. And he convinced me, because I'm a stupid kid.
Wait, how old is this kid?
He's a year younger than I am. So I was a gullible child. Again, I was like 5 or 6 at the time
But
this happened.
he's younger than you.
True, but I mean, it's not like there's really, you don't really realize it at that age, I feel
Was
like.
Knuckle the name of his uncle?
He named him that because it was like, that's how I described the ghost, of course. And so
Okay.
he easily picked up on that information, immediately put a name to it, called him Knuckle. Made all this up, obviously. I mean, in retrospect, that's what he did. And he called him Knuckle, and he's like, "Yeah, that happens sometimes." He started talking about several other ghosts that he would like appear to him, right? And I actually kind of thought maybe he was telling the truth because, he apparently knew about Knuckle.
So discretion, this is childlike imagination.
Yeah, it's kind of like
can
the
be
Salem
wild.
witch trials where, we're possessed. Oh, God, we're the fucking devil.
A little more at stake.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
When it comes to that.
Much more, really. In fact, none of this, the real question is whether or not any of this seeped into my subconscious to help create the walking, talking organism you see today, which it probably didn't because this is such a minuscule moment in a person's life. But, I mean, just to add a little bit more to the story, so he said that, and then he said there was another ghost where they would leave the faucet on, and he would just stand there and wait for, like, I guess the guy to tap him, like, knuckle-wise, and then he could, I guess this was the same ghost. I'm sorry, I'm getting this all mixed up because...
No, you're fine.
So I feel like, he would get a sign to turn the faucet off because the guy was, like, washing his hands or some stupid shit. I mean, it was weird, completely nonsensical stuff.
And he lived on your street?
Yeah, yep.
I think this kid's retarded.
I mean, I'm surprised we didn't grow up in Flint.
With that water.
Yeah, that's not funny. That's still, like, not funny.
It's still a thing.
That's still a thing. Great, we can listen to this in, like, 10 years and be like, oh, yeah, that was happening at the time.
Yeah, then everyone in Flint is dead.
Yeah.
Good. They never fixed it.
It's like if we had done this podcast when Heath Ledger died, we could have commented on it, and then we'd be listening to it now and be like, oh, yeah, that was when Heath Ledger died.
Yeah.
I feel like I was going to ask you something. You know what I think about people dying, unrealized talent? I think we talked about this already, too. I was going to talk about movies that... Well, we talked a little bit about It. Did we talk? We talked about it in the first episode, is that right?
No, we didn't talk about It.
At all, the movie or the book? Or
We've talked about it in real life, but not on the podcast.
I would love to talk about this for a second. Let's just
Okay.
talk about this for a second.
All right.
I want to tell you guys about It, okay? I'm going to give a really brief synopsis here. It's a Stephen King book, and I read it, and it's 1,000+ pages, and I mention that fact because Stephen King writes a lot of books, and several of them are 1,000+ pages. And, for example, Under the Dome was more than 1,000 pages, and it was a page-turner. I loved it. I didn't get hung up on anything. I didn't have to power through anything. And it was great. So I was reading It, and it has 7 or 6 main characters. Each one has like their own short story to just like set their character up, to further their character. I mean, it is arduous the length of time you spend with these characters. Like, it's really cool at first, and then you start to understand the pattern of how he's introducing them, and because of that, it takes away from the narrative. It's like, it's not surprising anymore. Like, you know that the next chapter is going to be this person doing this. You know that the next chapter is going to be this doing, like, they're all experiencing it in a different way. And that's interesting. That's what it is. It's like each one is a short story of how they experience it, which can be anything. So it's like their greatest childhood fears, and then how they all kind of come together, which is good in theory. But again, it's like 1,000 pages. So you're reading it like, oh, okay, they're going to come into contact with this thing and live, because they're going to live to get together later at the end of the book. So the whole time you're just like, okay, I get it. Like, it can do anything, blah, 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 blah. Wow, your imagination's amazing, Stephen King. And, but by the end, I was like in tears reading it, because I had finally finished the end, and I was like, oh my God, I'm done. And I wasn't crying because I was finished, like, thankful that I didn't have to read it anymore. I was crying because after all the time I spent, I realized, wait a minute, I actually did grow to like these characters, even if I did find it a bit difficult sometimes. The reason I bring this up is because Kerrit Joji Fukunaga, who did True Detective, the first season, the critically acclaimed first season.
Really good.
He directed every episode. He also wrote and directed Beasts of No Nation, which was criminally underrated.
That's what I heard.
Underrepresented at the awards ceremonies as well. So he was hired to write and direct by Warner Brothers, a big budget 2-picture deal to get this movie made. And he was let go because his vision was too dark, which is super unfortunate.
That's what it should be.
I'd like to just really quickly add, this is a lot like Heath Ledger dying. Heath Ledger dying, it caused us to never see the body of work he would produce.
Yeah.
James Dean is another example. I mean, like, these people have so much talent, and you know that they could create so much more, and they're just gone from this world, and it fucking sucks. Even today, it's like, oh, they're fucking dead. Wow. It's been 60 years, 70 years.
Since
60.
James Dean?
Yeah, 60 years. He was in 55. And that still fucking sucks, honestly. Like, if you really think about it, it's like, oh yeah, he was like 25. Like, wow.
That's so young.
It is.
We will both be that age very soon.
I mean, Tupac was 25 when he died.
Wow.
And it's like, think about the shit he would have accomplished. I mean,
Does hearing about this push you to, like, want to actually put stuff out?
I mean, kind of. I mean, it's crazy how time sneaks up on you.
Yeah, for sure.
At the time of this recording, my birthday is in a week and a half. I mean, and I'm going to be a quarter century. And it's like, what am I doing? I mean, I like what I'm doing. And I'm afraid that, you know, like, everyone likes what they're doing. But it all of a sudden 10 years pass and you're like, oh, this isn't really what I wanted to do. I'm okay with what I'm doing, but this isn't what I wanted to do. And then you realize that is who you are. And it's like, fuck. Like, you take a step back and realize, Jesus, like, shit. That got depressing.
No,
I don't feel that way, like, right now.
The idea. So, True Detective guy.
Okay, so there's a parallel between a great actor dying and then also an amazing sounding project falling apart. Because an impossible to adapt novel, you get 2 movies, which means that you're gonna theoretically get the best parts to make it perfect. Like Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2 is a great example of something that condensed it and made it perfect. And you have this really talented guy who's at the helm of this whole thing, and he's let go. So at the time, I read that the movie studio was trying to push for a more, like, audience-friendly movie, which, I mean, we're Americans. We're stupid. We want to eat our KFC and have our Diet Coke and go see a movie where everyone lives at the end and then fucks each other and gets married or something. So they hire this new guy who directed the movie Mama. If anyone remembers that, this is...
Oh, is this the one with the twins?
It is. Jessica Chastain, isn't it?
Okay.
Information that is not entirely necessary to this conversation, though nonetheless, that's what he directed. That's one of his credentials. And so, of course, it's going to still have kind of a darker tone based on that. But the thing is, I heard this movie is still going to be split into 2 movies, and it's still going to be rated R. So my question is, what is the point of letting go a director to make it more audience friendly if it's already going to be R rated?
Yeah, like absolutely.
I mean,
people saw Deadpool.
That is exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah. Which, by the way, it doesn't mean that people should start going, let's make all these movies R. Like, they're trying to push for Guardians of the Galaxy to get an R rating.
Is that true?
Yeah, that's what I heard.
I heard Wolverine 3 is going to be rated R now.
That's what they're saying, too. What's the other one? God, it's, There's another example. And
Batman vs Superman has an R-rated like cut coming to DVD when it eventually is released.
What is the point?
I mean, I agree. And I think if our listening audience does any research, you will find a lot of people who are kind of like on the fence about making movies rated R for the sake of rating them R. Because it's not about the rating.
There's no need to do that.
Yeah. If the script calls for it, if the content calls for it, great. But don't go snakes on a plane and throw in a couple motherfuckers just to be like, oh, let's go for the R. Why not? But it just doesn't make any sense to me because in this day and age, we are overloaded with movies and TV and all of these amazing forms of entertainment, like visually. And it's like, the thing that succeeds is people with creative control. Mm-hmm. Why does Netflix succeed? It's because they have a business plan that allows them to hire really talented people to just write and create their own shows, and they have very little, like, Netflix is there to give them money, and that's it.
Yep.
And you can tell that it works. For example, I mean, Orange is the New Black is, like, critically acclaimed, very different kind of show, diverse cast, all this different stuff you wouldn't normally see. And it's like, movie studios need to realize that's what the business model is. It's not about trying to dumb it down or water it down. It's about like giving these people with great ideas and with like great talent the ability to do what they do best and just trust in them. And it fucking sucks.
It's so weird because Deadpool does seem like a movie that Netflix would produce.
I agree.
Because of how like, damn, that was really self-aware and great.
Yeah.
It was really good.
It was.
It was really good.
It was a lot better than I thought it would be.
Really?
It really was.
Oh, man.
Because I don't know what I was expecting, but I didn't expect much. I thought it'd be like a normal superhero movie, which it kind of was, but because it was so irreverent, it sort of it amplified the message of hilarity almost.
For sure. Like I was laughing from the opening credits.
Yeah. And they were very cleverly
good.
done. I mean, even the shot composition was really cool. Maybe I'm not using composition correctly in that exact instance.
It doesn't fucking matter.
But just the way, how if you haven't seen the movie, the camera is like one long take during the opening credits. It's kind of cool. Anyway, that really bothers me to know that I live in a world where I'll never get to see Cary Joji Fukunaga's vision of it. Because there are very few good Stephen King movies. It's hard to... I mean, it's hard to make, books into movies, and it's really hard to make Stephen King books into movies because his books are scary not because they have jump scares, because you can't have jump scares in a book.
Yeah.
There's no music cue to make you jump in your seat.
Yep. Oh, The Shining is also...
The Shining's amazing.
For sure, yeah.
And that, Stanley Kubrick directed that. Like, that's a great director who was given creative freedom to do what he wanted to do.
And just terrorize Shelley Duvall.
Absolutely. I mean, he did.
Yeah.
He really did. He horribly did. Take after take. What was like 150 takes?
And she's like, I want to...
I want to fucking kill this guy.
Yeah, I'm surprised she didn't.
But that's what makes good movies. It's wanting to kill your director.
I'm gonna drive you insane. I hope that's okay.
I should have never signed on for this. I should have done Popeye 2.
I'm sorry. I'm so tired. And I want to be like, all right, we got to get back to this structure. And it's like, we don't have a topic. We're just going from thing to thing. That's what this is. This is episode 3, and it's just random ass shit.
Maybe like...
You're welcome.
Maybe we're allowed to do that sometimes.
I think so.
Yeah.
It's our podcast.
Fuck it.
If you don't like it,
then shut it off. I don't give a shit. Or go on Twitter, go at KerritPod and tell us to go fuck ourselves.
You can email us at kerritpod@gmail.com, or you can talk to us on Twitter at KerritPod and just tell us to go fuck ourselves.
Yeah, like, seriously.
Just follow us and then tell us to go fuck ourselves.
It's like we're trying to have a structure, and this is an episode where we just don't have a structure.
So yeah, ghosts.
Yeah, so ghosts. So that was my story.
Do you have any other stories? Has anyone told you stories?
But again, this goes back to just I don't.
They're fun. Do you have fun with it? Oh yeah, I think they're fun.
Honestly, it almost makes me. I don't want to say feel like I have a little less respect for that person. It almost feels like that. And I think that's a little too much. Like, I don't want to put too much, emphasis on having, I hate you, I have less respect for you. But it's just kind of like someone tells me and they're like, there's this look in their eyes that's like, no, I'm serious, this really happened. And I'm such a skeptic that I'm sitting there and I'm like, I like you and you're a cool person, but like I don't believe you, and it makes me feel bad that you are so serious about this.
I'm totally a skeptic too, but my thing, like, if there was, it's the same thing with God. Like, I don't, necessarily believe, but it's like I'm not a staunch atheist.
Mm-hmm.
It's if I see something that, like, if I feel something or whatever, then that is gonna have me think about it and blah blah blah.
And the thing that sucks is, like, the only way to really know is if it happens directly to you.
Exactly.
But then the issue becomes,
never happened to me.
It's not even that. It's like you're that's true, and it's not that's happened to me either. But if something did happen to either of us, and we told people about it, then we would just get the whole, like, the reaction that we have, which is, oh sure, like, it happened to you, okay, whatever, it never happened to me. So we're all it just sucks. It's like life. It just keeps going.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing people say, like, if people who talk to God or he talks back, or you see something like that, they assume that you're schizophrenic, like, because that's a symptom of it. But, I mean, Stu has a story, and that's a very interesting one to me, because he saw, like, a child spirit. Kerrit podcast. This is my iPhone that I'm using. This is Gerrit. Recording Stu McCallister. Stu,
where's Kerrit?
Kerrit. It's just the writ part right now.
Come on. All right.
Kevin's probably in bed sleeping because he's got a big boy job tomorrow. He works at a bowling alley.
That's a big boy job.
So anyway, so we're sitting here with Stu. Stu? Who are you?
I'm Stu McCallister.
And what do you do?
You used to live with me, you son of a bitch.
What?
We're doing this for the crowd?
Yeah.
I'm a comedian.
Perfect. We're talking like we've never talked before.
We have never met. In case he chimes in, we're also sitting with Carlos Valencia.
Yeah, Carlos Valencia is
Hey,
sitting
guys.
here.
Who is a comedian extraordinaire.
Yeah, very scared of what the story might be.
The story? Oh,
Yeah.
It's not very scary. It's just
Ghost
kind of,
rape.
It's I have a ghost story. And,
Should
and
I pee before you tell the story?
No,
Okay.
it's not scary at all.
okay.
It is not it's weird to me when people have scary ghost stories, because I don't necessarily believe in that.
Yeah.
I believe in things because I saw something.
Yeah. So I mean, the main thing that we talk about in this episode, Kevin and I, is the idea that like what ghosts are, because there's multiple theories of what they are. Like, some say that it's kind of just like a image or whatever that's on loop that can't escape this dimension, or it's spirits and stuff like that.
Sure.
Like, the explanations all vary. So we're just trying to get down to the nitty gritty of it. But
All right.
a story would be great to hear on.
Okay. Well, the story. I was 23 years old, so it was actually 23 years ago. Wow, that's crazy thinking about it. So yeah, long time ago, and I had graduated college. And I grew up outside of Buffalo, New York.
What'd you go to college for?
I got a degree in sociology, which is worthless.
So you're not schizophrenic.
No.
So we can rule that out.
Yes, I'm mentally well as far as delusions and hallucinations go.
Okay.
But a friend of mine from college got a job working in Western Massachusetts in a town called Pittsfield, and she was working for an agency called Key Agency. And Key works specifically with juveniles who had behavioral issues and mental health issues. And so she was working there, and I'm like, I'm going to apply for a job there, and I'm going to move to Massachusetts. So I apply, and I get a job in Key Incorporated in Pittsfield, Massachusetts, where my friend Jen worked.
As fate would have it.
And then as soon as I moved there, she left. She legitimately, I think like a month before I moved over there, she left. Because it was a contractual job too. Like, people actually worked there for 14 months, and then you could either re-up if you wanted, or you could just say, "And I'm done." And I'm leaving.
Okay. So her 14 months.
Her
is up and she's
14
out.
months, because she took the job like right out of college. I kind of goofed around. I did some stuff in Buffalo, and like I have to do like a real person job now. So so she left. So I get there. I don't know anybody. I don't know anything. Massachusetts, for people who don't know, is just, it's old. Everything is old.
That's what I've noticed too. Is like the older something is, the odds that there's a quote unquote haunting or something is more abundant.
So in Pittsfield, the Key group had 3 homes specifically. It had a home for young adults, like teenagers who were kind of trying to learn how to live on their own. Then they had like an intermediary home for kids who were like middle-aged, older elementary, maybe like 6th grade kind of thing.
Okay.
And these were kids who actually went to school in the community. And then they also had a locked facility for kids. It could be anywhere from like, late adolescents through teenagers up until they were 18. And I got stuck working in that building first. And this was a huge building. It was a very big, old building. And originally at one time it had been a home for children with physical disabilities, people who were in wheelchairs and things like that. And so like in the early 1900s, that's what this home was.
Spooky.
And even before then, I don't even know what this place was. It was, like I said, it was a huge mansion, kind of sat on top of the hill. It was 14 kids lived there. No, 15 kids lived there. So like 8 on the first floor, 7 on the top floor, and they never mixed. They never saw each other because these kids. And it was a very structured setting. Like if a kid wanted to get out of a chair, he had to ask. If he wanted to walk through a doorway, he had to ask. It was very structured. There was always a lot of staff. And this was a short-term facility. Kids were there 90 days. And after that 90-day period, we kind of it was called an assessment center. So we assessed them for, like, what are their needs? Like, where are they going to be best suited? Whether it be going back home, going to foster care, going to a long-term group facility. That was never my role in deciding that because I was just a frontline care staff. I was there to make sure that kids followed the directions.
Yeah.
They went to school. They took their meds. They followed their lesson plan, their behavioral plan. That was all me. And then there was physical management. I'd have to restrain kids because kids would freak out or they'd want to fight.
Now, when you started working there, what was your mindset? And like, did you believe in ghosts in any way?
The ghost stuff. It wasn't even in my brain at all. It wasn't there because
I mean, like as a younger kid or anything like that.
I don't think I really believed in ghosts. Okay. I mean, ghosts. I mean, it was like movies and there's Casper the cartoon, but for me it was never like a thing that I consciously felt like, yeah, that's real.
Okay, that's another thing too. Is like people who are prone to seeing them will see them. Or
No, that wasn't me. That wasn't me. I've never been that way. The ghost story comes in that, as I mentioned, this house was very old. And apparently, way back in the early 1900s, when it was a home for kids with physical disabilities, like a boy died, a 12-year-old, 13-year-old kid died in this house. I don't know how he died. I don't know anything other than they said he died.
Axe to the head.
Axe to the head. Well, let's go with that.
Okay.
His mother killed him in the house. Axe to the head.
40 whacks.
40 whacks. Part of the deal of working at this program, there were staff 24/7, clearly. Third shift, there would be 3 staff, 1 upstairs, 1 downstairs, and then a floater would go up and down in case there were problems or issues, or if someone had to go use the bathroom. This is what the floater was for.
So 3 adults.
3 adults were in the building for the 15 kids.
Okay.
But there was always a 4th adult, someone like myself, who I would be in the building, but I could be sleeping. Like they had like fold out couches that you had to be there. It was like twice a month or something like that. You had to go and do it. So on one of these shifts, I was upstairs sleeping in the staff office where the couch was. It's a fold out couch. For whatever reason, I had to get up in the middle of the night to go use the bathroom. I go to use the bathroom, and the bathroom was at the end of a hallway. It's like when you open the door from the bathroom, you're looking down a long hallway.
Yeah.
And then it was kind of like a capital I, where the hallway is in the middle, and then you got the two ends. The 2 ends. So I come out of the bathroom, and at the end of the hallway, I see this kid wearing all white, which was standard uniform wear for kids at night. They would wear a white T-shirt, and then they'd wear shorts, and that's what they wore to bed. So I see this kid. It's 3 a.m, whatever, and I see this kid. I'm like, the fuck, this kid shouldn't be in the hallway. He should be in his bed because I'm like, already someone is breaking the rules because, like I said, kids got to ask to go through doorways and stuff like that. You got to ask. So I'm like, where's the 3rd shift staff? Did they fall asleep? So the kid saw me and bolted back from where he came from, where the bedrooms were. He went back towards where he should have been. So I go down the hallway, I take a turn, and this is all in a matter of like not even 5 seconds. Not even 5 seconds. And I get there, and then I see the third shift staff. He's sitting on the couch watching TV or whatever. And I'm like, where did the kid go? And he's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, the kid that was here in the hallway. And he's like, there was no kid in the hallway.
So that kid would have had to run right by him.
Would have had to run right by him to get back in the room. And so that, as dumb as it sounds, that was the ghost that was in this house.
I mean, that's pretty crazy.
It's a weird story. And like, it didn't say anything to me. It didn't do anything to me.
Didn't look like Damien.
It just looked like a boy. It looked like a young boy wearing all white. And it took off down the hallway. And that was the only time I ever saw it. As far as I know, no one that I ever worked with in that house ever saw it either. I didn't really talk about it with a lot of people just because, like people
shun you.
like,
Yeah.
What's wrong with this guy? But I mean, that was like the urban legend of a kid died in this house and it was haunted or whatever, and there you go. So,
wow.
Well, there is for the comedy fans who are listening to this, there is a club that we play,
the
Holly Hotel, which apparently is also an old building. It used to be an old hotel, and now it's a fancy restaurant with a comedy club in the basement. And the story goes, it is haunted by 2 ghosts, apparently. And our mutual friend Andy Beningo has a story where he was down in the club working it, and some heckler guy was giving him grief and shit. And then out of nowhere, a picture fell off the wall and hit this heckler in the head for no apparent reason. So Andy's saying, yeah, that was the ghost helping me out deal with the fucking heckler.
Oh, that's great.
So, I mean, that's a funny story. And, I mean, I've never seen a ghost there myself, but you do hear all the stories.
Yeah.
And, it's just weird nonsense like that. So
That's why your story, like, ever since you told me, that is what has fascinated me.
I don't really talk about it either, though. And again, it's one of those things that, like, when people tell me stuff, I'm like, hey, what? I mean, if you saw it, you saw it. Like, this is what I saw.
Have you had anyone else tell you stories over time?
Ghost stories and things?
Like things that actually happened to them?
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, people just kind of, they're weird about it or they don't want to talk about it. I'm like, I don't know, man.
Carlos, do you have any?
No, I was just thinking about it, and I don't really. That's why people ask me if I believe in ghosts, and I'm like, I'm not gonna say I don't, but I just never seen one myself.
Yeah. Which is weird, because, like, I'm super open to it. Like, if it happened, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, that's the same way I feel about God. If you
Yeah,
see me
exactly.
evidence about God,
Come on, God, show yourself.
To get back to what you said earlier about paying to see a haunted house or, like, sneaking in.
Yeah.
The third option you said about, like, just kind of being able to spend the night in a haunted house without, like, paying. You probably would have to pay a fee somewhere.
Yeah.
But, like, get a little more low-key place.
Dude, if they don't, like, set it up. See, that's the thing with, like, places that you have to, like, ooh, this is haunted. And then it's, like, stuff does happen. It's like, well, fucking yeah. Because you guys could easily just make a floorboard creak. Or you could set... Like, that's actually a thing about the Amityville Horror. Have you listened to anything, read anything about it?
Nothing. I've seen both of the movies, and I know that Ryan Reynolds is in the 2005 version, and that makes... both me feel old, and I feel like that makes him old also.
That's real weird.
I know.
He plays a dad in that movie.
I was in 8th grade when that came out. You were in 8th grade when that came out.
But for Amityville Horror, like there's a floorboard in the upstairs bedroom that like there's a window that goes up and down on its own. And then they found out while going through there that like if you step on a certain floorboard, then that makes the window go up and down.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, but it's a fucking floorboard. It's not a ghost. It's like, oh, now it's going up. Now it's going down. Maybe I take my... oh, now, okay. All right, good.
Well, I mean, I can see that, but, like, what's the point of that? Is that to make it easier to open the window?
I don't know if it's just something wrong with the house or the way it was built, or if someone put that in there to make it do that.
Well, I mean,
I don't know. To make it seem haunted. Like, generally the story goes that... George and Kathy Lutz completely lied about the whole thing.
And he was like Tim Allen and just did Home Improvement on the thing and made it like seem
haunted. I honestly have no idea. I mean, the main things they've said is like green slime coming from the walls, the windows that opened on their own, the flies in the house.
I remember,
the random thing. And then the one thing that they say is that the last night they were in there. They will never disclose what happened. They're dead now. Good.
All of them,
But
or
no, the parents.
okay.
But they will never disclose what happened that last night that made them leave everything in the house and just leave. Which people have said that it's like he probably went crazy and tried to kill his family. Or if it's all fucking made up, then you don't know. You don't know.
Their last name is Lutz. It was the 70s. Everyone was on acid back then.
Yeah.
But I do want to say that's such a design flaw. If you like step on a floorboard, I can't get over that. Like,
I know.
That's kind of an amazingly good idea too. Like, I don't want to have to open a window if I can just step on a
Well,
floorboard.
what I did is I just hung, like, if someone breaks in the house, I hit my foot on the floorboard here, and then I reach my hand out the window, and I grab the shotgun, and then I just bring it right back in, and I just shoot the guy right in the face. I probably should have put something else than rock salt in it.
Probably shouldn't have kept the shotgun on the outside of the house too. But
Yeah,
what you
I
gonna
wasn't thinking. I was drinking a lot of Jim Beam.
do? That would explain a lot of the green slime.
That would explain the fucking brown toilets as well. But yeah, I mean, these are like these ghost stories. There's actually a book that I read that it was like a rival to the Amityville Horror called Night Stalks the Mansion. Have you ever heard of that?
I've heard of that. You told me about that like years ago.
That was a really fascinating book. And one of the things, like, it's towards the end of the book, but what happened was, like, there was a room underneath the house in, like, a basement that you had to, like it was
beneath
sealed.
the basement, you mean?
Yeah, it was in the basement.
Okay.
But it was, like, the room you couldn't get to from... Here's the thing. I could be saying this incorrectly, but it was basically a room that you couldn't get to. No one had been in it that had lived there. They never went to the room.
Walled off.
Yeah, like
okay.
they couldn't get to the room.
Right.
Bottom line. So then, like, towards the end of them living there, like, things started to happen so frequently. Like, it was close to the Amityville Horror shit, but, like,
You mean like geographically or like timeline wise?
No, just like things that happened.
Oh, similarly.
Similar,
Okay.
but it didn't. There weren't flies. There wasn't green slime. There wasn't the toilet shit. There wasn't the being possessed to kill people. There wasn't the windows. It was like just random sounds that would be rhythmic or like doors opening and stuff like that. But it was not like completely unbelievable because there's so many stories like this rather than the Amityville Horror where it's like flies. Really,
right?
That's so fucking out there and outlandish.
Right.
But this is like in the realm
A
of
little more
believability.
Right. Okay.
Like a little bit of a wrapping on the back of your head
Yeah.
with Eminem and a
Yeah.
do-rag.
Hanging out in Martin, Michigan.
You better lose yourself and then he just raps on you. But no, so they couldn't get to this room. So towards the end of their stay in the book, they got into the room and they found like they had to like break a window or something to get in there. But they found a newspaper that was dated from the previous week, even though no one had been in there.
I'm getting shivers talking about this.
You are not. You
I
don't care.
really am, dude. I'm not even lying to you right now. Ever since you started talking about this, and
You're being so sarcastic. Are
no,
you being
I'm
sarcastic?
really not being sarcastic
No.
right now. It's like goosebumps. You know how it is, like where it's like. When you start to talk about eerie stuff, like you
So
just
this
kind of
is
get this
fun.
thing. It is fun. It is.
See?
Oh my god, that's
the
what you're
point.
talking about.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
It's fun.
Wow, you opened up my mind just now. Like you just blew my mind. I actually do like this.
Yeah,
I
it's
thought I
fun.
hated this.
It's fun.
I feel like such a dick now for all the things I was saying about how, even though I still think that they're. I don't know. Like this makes me almost want to believe in
This is
it.
what makes me like. That's why I'm a skeptic. I love the idea of believing it.
okay.
Because it's so fun.
Right.
But
I mean, shit, it's eerie as hell.
I've
You're
never
telling me
seen
all this.
shit.
Like,
Yeah.
that's not. You know what? That's what's missing because I grew up on these, shitty horror movies with like,
Yeah,
kills
for
and like
sure.
blood and shit. But what I really crave as a moviegoer is just a scene where someone, breaks down a wall in the basement and they're like, oh, there's a newspaper from last week. What the hell is that doing there? And then that's the end of the movie. It's like, oh my god, I don't know.
Yeah. Just like because it leaves it open and it's just like that's really fucking creepy.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you this, and then I want to move into something else. This Night Stalks the Mansion.
Yeah.
Was that ever discredited? Do you know?
I am not sure.
Because it's almost like if it came out at the same time as Amityville Horror, maybe it was like, oh, let's make a quick buck.
See,
and...
that's what I'm thinking too, and that's what I thought when I read it. But if it's not true,
it's still like a solidly well-built little horror story, is what you're saying, regardless.
yes. And I wish it was a movie. I don't think it's a movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard to make a good haunted house movie because
Well, they've all been made. The Haunting in Connecticut, The Haunting of Molly Hartley.
Yeah, but those are all crappy.
They're shitty.
Like, all you need is a good one. I never saw Silent House with Elizabeth Olsen. I did want to see that because apparently it was filmed to look like it was all one take. It might have been all one take. I don't think it was. It was definitely filmed to look like it, though.
I will read the if anyone wants to look this up, it is available on Amazon.
For what, 10 cents?
For used, it's $2.65.
That's not too bad.
And new, it is $15.65.
Jesus. They still produce new copies of that.
The publication date of this copy is 2005.
Huh.
This is about the author. I don't want that. Product description, backed by popular demand.
Ooh, so it was popular. It's not obscure.
Yeah, winner of the 1977 National Writers Club Award for Nonfiction.
Interesting. Nonfiction.
Very interesting. Now in paperback, this true story recounts a Philadelphia family's encounter with a supernatural presence in their 18th century mansion. After experiencing footsteps at night, opening doors, strange sounds, and activity that's centered around the library, they investigate, unearthing the mansion's tragic past and changing their beliefs about the supernatural world. So they were skeptics themselves.
According to the book.
According to that, yeah. Reviews are good for it. I want to find a website that's like, nah, this is bullshit, and then give the reasons why. That's what's fascinating to me.
Yeah, and it's hard for me to believe, even textbooks. It's like, here's a supporting fact from someone else's book, and it's like, well, what are they talking about? Where did they get their facts? How can we be sure of anything if you follow that train of thought?
We started this episode with how can you trust anybody? That kind of stuff.
Exactly, and I mean, I still do believe that. I mean, yeah, you could apply that to pretty much anything. Definitely.
I think the mansion written about in the book Night Stalks the Mansion was rebuilt in 1837 by a man named Joseph Edwards. It was said to have been used as a station on the Underground Railroad. Runaway slaves were kept in the house in a secret room located under the kitchen. This sounds familiar. By 1864, it was inhabited by a Dr. Edwards, his wife, and their daughter named Margaret Edwards. In 1864, the daughter was raped and murdered under a large maple tree next to the house. The murderer was the coachman, Elisha Culbert, not Cuthbert. She's not a time traveler.
Or a man.
Some accounts refer to him as a farmhand. Some say he was a slave. He apparently had come to the front door of the house and lured her outside by saying her pony was sick. Typical white girl. The other servants lynched the guilty man when they found the body of the girl dumped in the creek.
And his semen inside of her.
You need to hide it better, bro.
I mean, how do you even know that was him?
Her mother... they're probably assuming. Dude, this is real creepy. These pictures are real fucking creepy.
You pictures?
Yeah.
Let me see some of these things.
Her mother was devastated by the incident. She began spending most of her time in the library, her daughter's favorite room. One day, she left the library, climbed the stairs to the top floor, and hanged herself out the big window in front.
This is true?
Yeah.
Like, is this true? Like, I'd love to look this up. This is crazy.
This is all from the history of the house in 1837.
Jesus, this sounds like...
So typically, I will believe those stories because they are the quote-unquote cause of the haunting.
Right. So it's like the original. So, I can see that.
The book is 1977. And I need to find when Amityville Horror was published. Because if Amityville Horror was published after this, then that would be pretty suspicious.
And that would make more sense, too, because, that's much more outlandish.
So Amityville Horror was September of 1977. Night Stalks the Mansion. I need to find out when this was originally...
Well, that's crazy that the Amityville Horror came out in 77. The movie came out in, 79. So that's a very minimal distance, or small time frame.
Oh, they are making a movie, apparently, of Night Stalks the Mansion.
Ooh, it's going to be shitty, though.
This was announced in... This is... I'm at it again. I just worked out a deal with the publisher of the book that will allow me to publish and distribute the upcoming PC game based on the book.
Wow.
Set shortly after the Camerons moved out. Okay, all right.
Why the fuck would you make a PC game out of that? What would you even do? Hey, now you have to jump off the railing and hang yourself. Whee!
There is no Wikipedia page for it. This is so fascinating to
And
me.
there's in the movie, I bet you that movie is gonna be some straight-to-video schlock, and they're not gonna do the book any justice. Dude, even the Amityville Horror book, from what I remember, had a couple of eerie moments that were never put in the movie. They always focused on the bigger stunts, like the bees, or I mean the flies. But like I remember one scene where they heard like the door slamming or something, and he ran down to check it out, and the dog was like sleeping right in front of it, and it was like, oh, well, that couldn't have happened just recently. That's what I'm into. I like atmosphere.
See, that's what this book is. The Night Stalks the Mansion. That's why it's so fascinating. I just want to know.
Dude, that's why I can't believe you didn't like It Follows. I feel like It Follows was a lot like that.
It was because it was teenagers. I fucking hate teenagers.
But they were like 19, so it kind of made it a little...
No,
you're right. I don't like teenagers
they were high
either.
schoolers, and
Dude,
they were irritating as shit.
I am not a fan of teenagers myself. They are very, what's the word, stupid. The worst part is, that means I was that stupid when I was that age.
We both were.
We absolutely both were. In fact, if you were to listen to our audio commentaries for the movies we made, we were total dicks, and we were completely, I don't want to say...
If we what? I'm sorry, what?
If we listened to, like, audio commentaries that we recorded for our movies, we're total dicks.
We were so dicks to each other.
What do you mean?
I started listening, and I was like, Jesus,
it's hard to
why are we
listen to.
doing that?
It's like, it's grating. Mm-hmm. It's demeaning. The only worth that it has is knowing that hopefully we have matured to a level where that's not our conversational technique. Oh, I hope not, at least. Jesus.
No, we're pretty good now.
Yeah, otherwise I'd be like, no, we're not. You're fucking not good.
You're stupid.
No, yeah.
So am I.
It's because you're gay, dude. Fuck you. I want to talk. This is interesting. You're right.
We should. Have you ever played with an Ouija board? Because I have.
Maybe we should record. Like, I haven't. I don't believe in them.
I don't either.
But if we did do it, I'd like to go somewhere fucked up and do it.
Really?
I mean, kind of, yeah. What's the worst that's gonna happen? My soul gets sent to hell for all eternity? Well, that would suck. That actually is probably the worst that could happen.
Yeah, I think that would be the worst. That might be the worst.
But then again, like, I don't understand how that whole thing works, because you know what? Here's a thought. If you're talking about demons, okay, I think that most people categorize demons in relation to the Bible, or at least religious terms, just to make it easier to understand. When in reality, since like the Bible and religion is sort of a man-made institution, the demon itself isn't necessarily based in any religion. It's just that people used religion as a way to define that entity. So it doesn't necessarily have to be from hell. It's just from like a dimension, or it's just this otherworldly thing that we cannot define.
Yeah, so that's something that people have talked about, is the idea that ghosts and entities are just like in a different dimension.
Right. So it's not necessarily a religious thing. But what I want to say is, if demons aren't necessarily based in any religion, they're just like their own thing.
Yeah.
Then why is it that you always see them portrayed in books and movies and TV, and even in like true stories, a priest comes in and, you know, spreads some holy water around and is like, this house is clear, and that was Poltergeist and she wasn't a priest, but you get the point.
Yeah.
And it's like, how is it possible that this priest who is working for an institution that was created by man, it channels the Holy Spirit, quote unquote, which is just a term that was made up by man to rid the house of the spirit, or, you know, or not the house, but anything, the establishment, the building.
I don't think it happens.
You don't think, so would you go, you wouldn't...
That I would say that exorcisms are not real.
Any form, like not just from like a person, but like from a building or like from a place.
I don't think so. I mean, this can lead into stories that my mom's told me about how, like, there was one time where we were at a trailer. It's like the places were not, like, a trailer would never be haunted because there's no reason for it to be haunted unless the spirit itself is following you. But she has told me about how, because there was a time where, like, I'm sitting next to the counter and then, like, a jug of milk lifted off the counter or something like that. And apparently she said some stuff from the Bible, and then that vanished the spirit or whatever. So that's A. And B, she told me that she played with an Ouija board as a kid, like a stoner teenager. with her friend, and then one night she was woken up to her friend's bed, like jumping off of the ground, like with her still in it, and just like the fucking Regan stuff from Exorcist. So it's the same thing.
Impossible stuff.
It's very impossible in this realm, but at the same time, like, you don't know, you know.
Yeah, you don't.
I don't believe that, though.
Yeah, like, I don't
I believe
either.
the Night Stalks the Mansion stuff. I believe this stuff that there's, I don't,
well,
they're just stories.
Yeah, they are, and I want to add a quick little anecdote that is proving, or at least helps to support the argument that it's totally false. And that's that I remember my mom was messing around with Ouija board when she was a kid, and she always got freaked out because what they did was one of their friends like laid down, and all of the other friends like kind of put their fingers beneath this girl's body and lifted at the same time, and like she levitated, and they were freaked out because they were like, oh, like she shouldn't be this light, blah blah blah. So we're all sitting around the dinner table, which is about the weight of a small child.
Yeah.
And we're like, let's do it. So we put our fingers beneath the table. We all were like, 1, 2, 3, and we lifted, and it like flew off the ground because it was so evenly distributed.
Yeah.
And so I just thought that
that proves it wrong.
Exactly.
Yep.
Well, let's wrap this up then. Okay, so well, that was quite the interesting conversation.
Okay, fuck that.
Okay. Let's cut that out. That was too rehearsed, even though I don't have...
Okay, I'll do it.
Okay.
Well, that was quite the conversation.
Hey, go fuck yourself, you son of a bitch. So, what did we learn? We didn't learn anything.
I think we learned that ghost stories and that the unexplained, the idea of not knowing is fun. And entertaining.
It is very fun and entertaining in ways that I didn't understand until I started talking about it.
I honestly think that's why the Paranormal Activities movies really caught on.
I think it's still...
I think on one of these episodes we should play with an Ouija board.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good idea. We could do a part 2 and then describe our experiences not feeling anything. That'd be great.
What if we... That's the thing. What if we do start to feel some stuff?
I'd freak the fuck out is what I would
Would
do.
you really?
Yeah, absolutely. Because that shit, once you let that shit in, that shit ain't going away anytime soon. That's
but you
for
don't even
goddamn
believe
sure.
it.
No, I don't. But if it did happen, then I don't think... If it did happen, that means I'm going to automatically have to believe.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I'm fucked. I mean, I would have to...
We'll just have to say the Bible thing.
I'll find religion, I guess. Does Buddhism count?